Welcome back to another video, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 things that I wish I did differently when I was a newer player. So the first one is going to be I wish I learned smokes as a newer player, or when I was early on in the game. And the reason for this is because learning smokes really unlocks the next strategic mindset of the game, instead of it just being all aim no brain. When you have a bunch of smokes in your back pocket for you to pull out whenever, it helps add to the strategic side of things. So just like that kind of smoke, that blew my mind back in the day, and now I can throw it consistently. It took like 5 minutes of practice, boys. It's not that hard. And there's so many different variations of smokes that are just so useful to know, and they can help you win rounds, especially if you throw them properly. The second thing that I wish I did differently would be to not only play Mirage. Going from about I want to say Gold Nova 4 all the way to DMG when I was still grinding matchmaking ranks, I would basically only play Mirage. Yes, it helped me get very good at Mirage, and Mirage is probably my best map. I know all the smokes for it, or at least the majority of them. And I know a lot of strats for it. I know timings when people are getting to places, but when it comes to cash or what's that, overpass, those maps I'm not too hot at, just because I didn't put as much time into those. And now as a more advanced player, I have to go back and relearn some elementary and fundamental things on different maps, just because I spent way too much time on one map. And yes, as a newer player, 0 to 500 hours, I would suggest sticking to 1 to 2 to 3 maps maybe, just so you can really get a feel for those. But when you get into the medium ranks and you kind of have a feel for the game, yeah, start expanding your map pool. Yes, some maps fucking suck. I've always hated cash, hated cash, but I can't just not play cash for all of my CS career. I at some point I have to start accepting that, hey, you may hate cash, but you gotta figure out how to play it. And unfortunately that has come now. I still hate cash, and I probably wouldn't hate cash if I played it more often as a newer player. The third thing that I wish I did differently as a newer player was actually think before I did things. As a newer player, especially since the only competitive FPS that I'd played before was Call of Duty, I thought it was all about the aim and all about being able to hit shots, and so that's the only thing I would practice. I wouldn't put too much thought into what I was actually doing and why I was actually doing it. And lots of newer players have that same mindset of it's all about clicking on their heads, and that's all you really have to do to win. But once you start, let's say you're about to walk out and you're about to throw a flash. If you ask yourself, why am I actually throwing that flash? And you're not too sure, it just felt right at the time, then you should probably put it away. Most people will start getting into a groove and mindlessly doing things. More advanced players, they will do that, but it will be good things that they're doing. Younger and newer players, less experienced players, they're just gonna do things mindlessly, and it's not gonna make any sense. And you can ask them the round after, hey, why did you do that? And they're like, I don't really know why I did that. I just wasn't thinking. So one of the biggest things is to think. Yes, you're constantly, if you're coming out A main as a newer player, you're thinking of the places that they could be, kinda, but you're not really taking into account what their default setup would be, what their buy is, if they're going to be playing close. If one's playing close, one's probably going to be playing far, they're not going to stack too close. Or if you've already killed 2A, you probably don't have to clear any more angles, because it's most likely going to be a 2A setup, and the next place you have to look is jungle, and then cat for the rotate, and then market for the rotate, or jungle again, depending on where the guy is. But just really thinking through why you're doing things, where you should be looking, is something I wish I did differently. The fourth thing that I wish I did differently as a newer player, and it actually applies to how I play right now, is I wish that I watched more professional demos. I just get too bored while watching them. and so I don't watch the whole thing through, but from the short time that I've like watched them, I've learned so much. For example, for peeking mid, JW always does that to peek underpass. It makes it really hard for the underpass player to shoot you. Just a little bit of a strafe, even like bounce up the wall if you can't do a strafe. And so like little things like that, like I learned that from, I watched like 30 seconds of a demo. I was like, hey, that's a pretty good idea. Stupid things like that. There's so many things out there, little small things that you can add to your game that you just don't know about, and you should really turn to professional demos to learn, because those pros have been playing the game for thousands and thousands of hours, years after years after years, and learning from past pros that have played it even longer than them. And so yeah, they're probably going to have a bit more knowledge on these kind of things than you will, and it's unrealistic for you to just say, hey, you know what, watching pro demos, it's just not for me. I can figure out everything on my own. I just need time. And yeah, you can probably figure out a vast majority of it, but these little like more efficient ways to peek things, you're just not going to learn on your own. And that's not saying that you're stupid. It's unrealistic for some single person to learn everything on their own. You should turn to all the resources you have available and use them. And I wish I did that as a newer player, and I wish I did that more often now. And the fifth thing and final thing that I wish I did differently as a newer player would be that I wish I watched how my teammates were entering a site. I still do like going on my own, so like I'll solo palace if there's 4 people ramp, or if they're doing an A split, so they're not really an A split, but if they're putting a person palace already and there's 3 ramp, I'll probably lurk underpass or something. I like doing things on my own. And so that's great and all, but you have to be aware of what step in the execute process your teammates are, or the entering process, before you swing out. I know that one of my biggest faults, and what held me back for a while, would be that I would get to my position, and then all of a sudden I would peek out and try to get a kill, and I might kill one guy and then go down to another, and I would die, and I'd spectate my teammates, and they were still like, they're smoked off ramp or something, or they're still like clearing angles, and I'm like, guys, just go out. No, I was the stupid one there. I was the one in the wrong. This happens a lot in apps. You'll have somebody go straight rush, suka, and then they're out, and then they die, and then they look and spectate their teammates, and 3 of them are back here, and they're like, why the fuck can't anybody rush B? Like, it's so easy, I don't get it, everybody's such a pussy. Like, no, it's that you're just stupid. You ran out without actually looking at what your teammates are doing. Maybe there's a molly in between, maybe they got flashed, maybe somebody said something and you just didn't hear it. So you always have to be aware of where your teammates are and what they're doing, and actually work off of them. It is a team game, by the way. It's a 5v5 team game. So if you're in Palace and you have teammates ramp and they have not actually like gotten out of ramp yet and cleared your CT, there's no reason for you to be peeking anything. Once they start to actually swing out ramp, that's when you want to peek top stairs. Little knowledge, because when they're coming out ramp, if they have to worry about CT, bottom stairs, clearing site as well, and top stairs, that's too much. You can easily take out, like, make them not worry about top stairs, and that helps a lot, so they can just focus on clearing site itself. Also, smokes help, which, you know, my first point, but disregarding that, like, knowing where your teammates are and playing off of them is something that I finally got down. And I'm still like not great at it, but I feel like I'm better than a lot of people around my rank at looking at where my teammates are, checking the minimap all the time, and really making sure that I'm playing as well as I can positionally. So I hope this has helped you in some way, shape, or form. Thank you all for watching, and have a good day.